Hey, it's your girl, Nettie B.
And it's Rima L, and you are tuned in to the Sugar and Spouse podcast, where we'll discuss all the sugar, aka the tips and tricks to make your wedding planning journey a bit sweeter.
And don't forget the spouse, which are ways to keep that spark alive before and after the I-dos. We'll also highlight professional vendors. So without further ado, let's get into it.
What's up, girl? How are you?
Getting ready for the holidays. Christmas is coming around the corner.
Yes, the holiday season. Honestly, one of my favorite times of the year, honestly. Ever since I stopped working in retail, I love it.
Oh, man, yeah, no. Ever since everyone started having kids in my family.
Another job.
This is very overwhelming. I hosted Christmas one year, and I'm like, oh, no, I can't do this again.
You got a lot of little ones in your family.
Yes, it's a lot of work. It's a lot. Physically, mentally.
Emotionally.
Yes. You gotta plan for it, which is perfect because that's what we're talking about today.
Yes, you're planning. And also with the holidays, this time of the year is coming up on engagement season too. So it's a lot of like, if you have getting engaged around Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all of the holiday times is like.
Yes, this is definitely proposal season. This is when we're going to see all the secret proposals, all the surprises. I'm looking forward, guys. I'm looking forward to it.
I love it every year. I love it so much. I love proposals. They're so cute. But aside from that, if you have been proposed to already by this holiday season, I bet you're ready to really dig into today's topic of wedding planning.
It's time to get it started, at least get an idea of it. So with that being said, let's jump into what should we do first? Because I know that's on the top of every proposed person's mind. It's like, where do I start?
Yeah, let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
I want to say number one basic, setting wedding planning ground rules. Trust me, this is a sugar and spouse tip. You guys don't understand how crucial that is.
Absolutely. You must set those ground rules so that way you both are on the same page. You're not clashing and bumping heads during this time, because best believe you will be clashing at times. You may be going against what the other person wants, and you should set those ground rules so you can be like, we said we weren't going to do this. Let's bring it back. Let's rewind.
This is something that I've learned through experience, both Rima and I. And prior to this, I was never in a wedding, and I also didn't really know anyone who had a wedding. Mm-hmm. So this was something that I really didn't know that I would have to plan with my significant other. You really have to put in the work. Early on, just set the basics. One way to do it is to set a safe word.
Speak on that.
Not like it. I mean, you can set a safe word in the bedroom, but we're talking about in wedding planning. In wedding planning, a safe word, meaning it's really easy to get like caught up in wedding planning, and these things have a lot of emotions involved. The safe word is a way that you guys can just tell each other, back off, I'm at my height. And this is something you can keep going forward in your whole relationships. It doesn't have to stop here, but this is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good key for communicating. And it all starts with this time where you're thrown into this group project, because in my opinion, that's literally what it is. It's a massive group project with this person you're about to spend the rest of your life with. So having a safe word when things get a bit too overwhelming, when you're like about to snap, but you don't want to snap, a safe word is a good thing. And also, you should schedule and manage your time. Not to make this sound like a job, but it's kind of like one. So you don't want every minute of the day to be wedding planning. That's the plan. You want to set a time that you're going to discuss wedding plans, maybe make a schedule of when you're going to look at venues, sit down to talk about budgets, but that shouldn't be your entire day or your entire week, for lack of a better matter. But definitely set a schedule of when you want to get planning done.
In my case, my husband and I, when we were planning, we finally stumbled across the schedule thing. And it was like, okay, he was like, listen, you got X amount of hours on this day. And I'm like, Okay. Yeah, we have. He was
very stern.
Very stern. This day, Sundays, Saturdays, Wednesdays. We looked at our calendars and like, this is what we got to plan. This thing's got to be done. And the caveat my way was like, well, if we don't like cross off certain things or we don't like get a certain number of goals done within this time, we're allowed some flex time. Like, okay, we're going over an hour or two.
Very analytical.
But no, girl. I had the unlucky, but we were supposed to get married and had our wedding in 2020, right? And then we kind of had to like plan the wedding twice before we actually had it. So this is on the third time.
But COVID was in the midst of that too. That kind of threw a wrench in the plans.
Oh, a big wrench, like starting things over and whatever. Anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely. With us, it was like, okay, let's try to enjoy being engaged, because one of our good friends definitely told us, like, look, you're a fiance for a shorter time than you are a wife. So enjoy just being in this space of being a fiance and enjoy it. That lasted maybe a few months. Into it. It definitely stressed me out, and I wish I knew to sit down and actually set a schedule with my now husband to discuss things, because I was that bride like, okay, it's Tuesday. When are we going to see venues? When do we see the florist? When are we booking a photographer? Driving myself, and I'm sure him nuts at the same time. So that is a big takeaway. Also, along with making your schedule, you want to set out wedding-free zones. Nettie, do you agree?
I 100% agree. This is hard for me, but I came around. I didn't start on wedding-free zones, but towards the end.
No. Like, these are things we're learning about after we didn't go through any of this. But we're here to advise you on our mistakes, so that way you can be wedding planning time for yourself.
This is what, if you do have a bridal party or really close friends, these times are when you could really lean on them, because there'll be times where I'm like, oh, this flower arrangement I saw is cute. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I can't keep just sending my, future husband like a million of these things. I could just call up one of my bridesmaids or send it to them, and then they'll be more than happy to have the conversation. So lean on them in that aspect.
Absolutely, yes. And plus, they can help bring you back down to reality too, because us as brides, we go to the tried and true, head over to Pinterest, and we get all these beautiful imagery of florals, and they're like, yes, I need this. You probably need that good team to be like, yeah, this is beautiful, but let's reel back to your budget. Let's talk about your theme. And they kind of hone you in too.
That's true. They are that's what good bridal party does. And you guys, another tip to do, it's kind of like a wedding free zone, but not really, but is keeping regular dates. So what you could do is, like, along when you're making that schedule, you guys are like, okay, we're making sure every week make whatever time works for you. But like, say once a month, every other week, we're having a date night that you can make the wedding free zone the date night.
Absolutely. So, like, there's no wedding talk whatsoever.
No wedding. I wish you guys, if you guys ever seen that meme where it's this guy who looks like he's holding his breath really hard, trying not to say something, it's me. We'll pop it in somewhere.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to have those moments. Definitely take those breaks, clear those wedding free zones, and while you're out there, do not mention a word about wedding planning. Enjoy being with each other and just reset before jumping back into it.
Yes. Fight that urge.
Yes, definitely. I know it's going to be hard because you want everything to be planned, you want it to be done, but you need breaks because you will stress out. Trust us.
Yes. But now that you guys have set that basic goal of setting down the ground rules, you want to also make sure that you guys are on the same page vision-wise. That's number one.
That's a good one.
Well, number two.
Yes, you definitely do, because there's so many wedding themes that if you're not into the wedding scene entirely before the proposal, then you will learn that there's so many scenes that you can do, so many themes. There's boho theme weddings, there's glam, there's simplistic. So you definitely want to be on the same page. The groom or your partner might have a completely different vision for how they want their wedding day to be compared to yours. So definitely sit down and have those conversations about what is important to each one of you.
Yeah, even if you think you know, and even if you do really know, it's just important. Communication is key. So it is important that you guys are on that same page. Another way to go about this conversation of the same page of the vision is to make sure you guys name your non-negotiables. So that's important. You may not even know what your spouse considers something non-negotiable. Maybe there's a friend or a family member that you didn't think was that important, and they're like, no, they have to be there. And you're like, what?
Yeah. Or maybe they're tied to, what is it called? Certain traditions, I guess, or having those remembrance tables or something, things like that you feel like you need to have at your wedding. Definitely speak up and let them know, like, look, if we have to budget and cut anything out, this is a no-go. This must fit in the budget, and it must happen at the wedding.
Yes, and don't be selfish. Like, don't say all of the things are your non-negotiables.
Be reasonable. You have to
be reasonable. But putting those things all out on the table ensures that wedding planning goes a lot smoother, and you guys get to actually enjoy the good parts of wedding planning, because it's not all bad. These are just the pitfalls we're trying to help you avoid.
Yes, and it definitely takes away from that myth of it's just the bride's day. It's coming into a realm of it's the bride and groom, and you guys have to give and take and, share those things. Not to be stingy and like, this is my day, I'm the bride, bridezilla moment, Definitely don't want to have those.
It should have always been like that. It's both of you guys are taking the plunge. This is like important.
I don't know when that started. Granted, it started decades ago, but it's just been a stigma that it's the bride's day. Whatever the bride wants, make the bride happy. But the man's getting married too. He should be happy. Yeah,
and he should own some responsibility too.
It's both of our day.
It is our day, but mostly mine.
And although it is the bride's main day and the groom, when things are getting tough during wedding planning, you can always lean on family members. Like, maybe you can speak up and see if they possibly want to participate in some way. I know during my wedding time, my mom, she assisted with buying my dress. So that was like a big burden off of me, and she wanted to give that contribution and that gift. So you might have family members who want to participate in any way that they can.
Yeah, speaking of these ground rules and basics, you do want to talk about how involved you want your family to be, because
there's a flip side.
It's a flip side. It might be this one family member is like, oh, well, actually, you're getting married. No, actually, it's my day. Right? And or they might feel like, okay, yeah, I will pay for the whole thing, but it has to be my vision.
Yes.
Or
these people have to be invited.
Oh, girl, that's a common one. These people gotta be invited. That cousin. Yeah. Remember? You don't remember that cousin? No, I haven't seen them since I was born. Right,
and barely remember who they are. Like,
yeah,
of course, they're always going to want to have their strong opinions if they're contributing to. That happens a lot. So definitely discuss that with your partner. How much are we going to allow our family to be involved in this planning process? Okay. And also have a time where if you feel like one family member is overstepping, especially when it's someone from the opposite side. So it's like if your mother-in-law might be overstepping, you don't want to make any type of turmoil or rifts in your marriage or in your relationship. So you can have that conversation like, hey, things are getting out of hand. I need you to speak to mom-in-law, dad-in-law, and try to reel this back in so we're on the same page.
And you guys will be so happy you had the conversation before you got into the thick of wedding planning, before all of that, because things happen. Like, you don't want to have a child-free wedding, and then you're getting massive pressure from other side of the family. Like, no, I want children to come. You need your partner to be on the same page. You guys will be a united front, because you've already had this conversation.
Talk about it. You don't want to hear about little Timmy coming. No. And that's a whole story in itself. Kids, they're adorable, love you. But I feel like weddings, half the time, is not the scene for kids. Unless it's like a bunch of children there. It's a daytime type of event. Maybe a little dry kind of wedding. But I just feel like an environment where people are drinking, there's dancing, you're trying to get serious stuff done, and the kids are just running wild. It's like chaos. I don't know. That's my opinion. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, one kid feels like 2 to 3 adults. So I know what you mean. They have the energy of like 4 adults. But you just play it by ear. Do what works for you. For me, I couldn't not have some people at my wedding because I love them so much. And it's like, I'll deal with them if they're going to be crazy. But at the same time, it would have been cool to be only adults only.
Yeah.
You've been a little bit more turned up.
But I feel like because of the setup of your reception, it was so open and on the beach. I honestly didn't even realize that the kids were there.
It was tearing up the dance floor.
Yeah.
That I could see that because we was enclosed and they would be jumping off the walls. Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely.
It depends. It all depends, but I don't see any problem with either or. You know, if you are a guest who's invited to a wedding that's child-free and you have children, keep that problem to yourself. Get a babysitter for the night. If you can't, then tell them I'm sorry and they should understand.
Yeah, I know in our opinion, well, not in our opinion, but during our wedding, we definitely said no kids because in our experience, we feel as though sometimes parents go to these events and it's like, oh, we're in a room full of adults. Someone's going to get my kid. No, not at this event. No.
No.
It's your responsibility. And sometimes parents don't feel like that. They're like, oh, we're here. Auntie Karen is here. Uncle Benny. They're not going to let my kids get hurt. I'm going to enjoy myself. That shouldn't be anyone else's responsibility. Those people are there to enjoy themselves as well.
They said it takes a village. Not
that night. Everyone wants to have fun. Moving on to other things that you guys should discuss is the location of your wedding. Do you want a local wedding? Do you want a destination wedding? Do you want to elope? These things have to be chatted about.
Yes. Church versus not church. Do you need your specific pastor or priest to be the person? Do you need to be at your specific church? You guys need to, it's important. These should definitely come up. Don't ever assume that your partner just knows, your fiance just knows.
Right. Yes. Definitely should talk to each other and get a sense that you both want the same thing.
And then speaking of that, you want to also decide if you guys will be doing a bridal party or not. Yeah. And if so, who's going to be in it? Do you think mandatory family has to be in it? Like, okay, because you have a sister, now your sister has to be in my wedding party?
That is a good point. Or vice versa. You have this brother, I have to make him a groomsman now because,
yes.
So those are serious conversations to have too. Granted, your tribe is your own. You should pick whoever you want, but you should also see what's important to the person you're marrying. Maybe they want their sibling to be a part of the wedding process too.
And don't be afraid to personalize it. You don't have to stick to like the traditional best man, groomsman. You can create other roles and other ways to highlight people in your wedding.
Absolutely. Like if you tuned into our wedding trends, you will see that people are breaking outside of the social norms and the traditions of weddings. There's groomswomen, there's men of honor. They're switching it up.
There's flower grandmas instead of flower girls, which is so cute.
Yeah, so you don't have to fit the social norm. You can do what you want nowadays.
And you also want to decide the size of the wedding too. Like, do you want intimate or a large wedding? Anything in between. So, and you guys will be surprised too in those conversations. You might be thinking, 50 people, and your fiance might be thinking 300. So,
and that's a big difference when it comes to making your budget. The guest list definitely is the driving vehicle of your budget.
Speak on it. That's the next tip.
So you want to definitely set the budget, and including in setting the budget, you figure out how many guests you want to invite, and that would assist in kind of seeing if that's feasible for you. So if your budget is about $25,000, let's just say, and your venue is charging $100 and something dollars per plate, and you have a guest list of 400 people, I don't think that's going to work.
The math's not mathing.
It's not mathing. So you definitely want to make a financial plan in correlation with your wants and your needs and your pockets.
Yeah. And on the guest count front, you remember you're going to make multiple versions of your guest list, right? So to get started, you guys just go crazy. Just start off with everybody that you want to invite, just to get wrap your mind around it. Like, this is who all I want to see. And then as you go on in your budget, you start planning, you start looking, you're going to edit that list.
Absolutely. Yeah. You just make the list of who you want to invite. You probably make your own separate lists. He makes his, she makes hers, and you guys come together and probably cross-reference. I know what we did when we went through our guest list. That's what we did. We did separate lists. I looked at his, he looked at mine, and I'm going through the list, and I'm like, who is this? Never met them before. And he's like, oh yeah, this is my college buddy, blah. That's great. But I don't think this is the time for me to meet someone for the first time. You know? It's like, those were our criteria that we set forth. If we didn't meet this person during the time that we've been together, I don't think they make the cut for the wedding.
That makes sense. And that's a good tip. Another tip for guest lists is, would you take this person out to a $150, $200 dinner?
On you?
On you? Like, would you do that? And if you would not do that on a regular day, they probably shouldn't be on your guest list.
That sounds like the ultimate cut that list down when you act like
I'm just taking you to what? That's just for them alone. Don't include your meal.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
So that's important.
And don't include their plus one or the kids if they're allowing them to come. So definitely.
Yeah. And